Few fantasy games are complete without the mighty mythical creatures of the dragons. Some projects offer to hunt fire-breathing lizards, others provide an opportunity to get into their skin and fight back wretched little people. In this collection, we have collected the best single and online games in which dragons are present in one way or another. Toren is a puzzle adventure game developed by Swordtail Studio. The main character will be the baby Moonchild, who embarked on an exciting but risky adventure in order to remove the Veil of Secrets from the mysterious Toren Tower. At the beginning of the game, Moonchild will be very tiny, and as you progress through the game, she will grow and acquire various skills. Toren features beautiful graphics, innovative gameplay, and immersive gameplay. Plunging into Toren, you will find yourself in an insanely beautiful world full of mysteries and mysteries. The game uses the most in-depth concepts to guide the player through an introspective and exciting journey that will take you into an open stream about all kinds of myths, as well as the meaning of life. Tera Online is a famous third-person MMORPG with beautiful graphics and dynamic battles. The popular online fantasy game that attracted a large number of users was created by the gaming company Bluehole Studio in 2011. The gameplay is typical for most MMORPGs and includes various quests, crafting, and other similar activities. Players are given the opportunity to control their characters with a mouse, keyboard, and gamepad. The game takes place in a world called Arborea. There live two giants named Arun and Shara. Then they decided to create for themselves a new universe in which they went to sleep. Their bodies turned into two huge continents. The dreams of the two titans turned out to be quite material for themselves, so every frog or tree they dreamed immediately became real. Dragon Age Inquisition is the sequel to the Dragon Age RPG series set in a fantasy world. A terrifying calamity drove all of Thedas into destruction and anarchy. Sorcerers began an aggressive war with the church, and dragons horrified the once beautiful and serene kingdom. Players will take on the role of a new character who will have to pacify the confrontation, at the same time having founded the Order of the Inquisition and took it under his personal control. He is obliged to regain control over the kingdom by arranging a campaign on it. In the game, it is possible to play as different representatives of races, among which there were Kunari, and to make your character unique by customizing the gender and appearance of your hero. Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor is a third-person action RPG fantasy game based on Tolkien's world of Middle-earth. Players will play as a hero named Talion, who wants to get even with Sauron's minions. The family of the Gondorian Talion, the garrison commander, is slain by the servants of Sauron. He himself becomes immortal as a result of a dark ritual. The soul of the protagonist merges with the spirit of the elf Celebrimbor summoned from the other world. Talion's only desire is to die and meet his family, but this requires getting rid of the consequences of the ritual. Talion, along with the spirit of the elf, head to Mordor to remove the curse and take revenge. The Elder Scrolls Online is an MMORPG in which the player, alone or with friends, guildmates, has to explore a huge fantasy world. In the game, you can use both first-person and third-person views. One of the great things about the Elder Scrolls Online is its storyline. While the missions are fairly typical and do not deviate from the norm, that is, kill X enemies, collect as many objects as possible, or go and talk to this character on the other end of Tehi map, the game stands out for how well its missions are woven together, framed by small story arcs with the most interesting stories that will allow us to learn more about the world of Tamriel and its inhabitants. Neverwinter is a free-to-play MMORPG that gives players a unique chance to enter one of the worlds of the hit RPG game Dungeons & Dragons. Neverwinter is a majestic city in one of the D&D worlds, the Forgotten Realms. It is considered the most progressive place on the mainland of Fair End and is called the Pearl of the North. Despite its location, the city never gets winter because it is located on the banks of a magical river. The plot of the game focuses on how the rebuilt city-state lives after the disaster. According to the D&D plot, Neverwinter miraculously survived the blow of the Sorceress Plague, but the volcanic eruption destroyed it completely. In some abandoned ruins, various evil spirits still live, and outside the city there are more sinister creatures that threaten its inhabitants, so it needs heroes and defenders. They will have exciting adventures, epic battles in the best laws of the RPG genre. Age is one of the most popular free MMORPG games developed in Korea. Captivates players from all over the world with unlimited freedom of action in an open world, high-quality graphics and interesting features. ArcheAge is one of the most popular MMORPG games developed by the Korean company XL Games. This was possible thanks to the original game space. The fantasy world was created based on the book by Min Hee-jeon, a Korean writer, as well as good graphics and an addictive game system. The Elder Scrolls V: Skyrim is a single-player first-person action RPG game, the fifth installment in the Elder Scrolls series. You have to play for Dovahkiin, a dragonborn with a special gift of voice. Traveling through a vast open world full of adventure, the protagonist fights dragons and other opponents at every turn. The action takes place in the province of Skyrim, located in the northern part of the continent of Tamriel, 200 years after the events of Oblivion. The Great War ended with the conclusion of an agreement that infringed the rights of the inhabitants of the Empire, so an uprising broke out in Skyrim. The Empire is confronted by the Stormcloaks led by Ulfric Stormcloak. Final Fantasy XIV. Final Fantasy XIV is a fantasy MMORPG, part of the Final Fantasy franchise. The player creates his character, develops it, participates in battles, along the way exploring the amazing and colorful world of the gaming universe. The mainland of Erzea is divided into independent city-states, and the plot is built around the wars between them, as well as on the political confrontation of various races and the eternal struggle between good and evil. The war with the Garlean Empire upset the balance of power in Eorze's world. The agglomerations began to fight for the seizure of the spheres of influence using mercenaries, who later became ordinary adventurers. For one of these fighters and have to play. Aion is one of the best free fantasy MMORPG. The confrontation between angels, demons and dragon-like Balors in a huge world has been captivating players from many countries since 2008. Despite its age, the game does not lose its popularity due to its unique atmosphere. In 2008, the famous Korean company NCSoft in the gaming industry introduced a new fantasy MMORPG game, Aion. The game world of Atreus was originally an ideal sphere consisting of two halves, which were united by the Tower of Eternity. The tower was inhabited by the dragon-like Balor, the mighty creatures of the god Aion. When the Balor rebelled and tried to break out of control, the tower was destroyed, and since then, the halves of Atreia have become separate worlds, Helios and Asmodem, between which are small shard islands inhabited by dragon-like creatures. The inhabitants were also divided into two warring parts, angels and demons. Perfect World is a free-to-play third-person multiplayer online role-playing game, MMORPG. Moreover, the camera can rotate in any plane and in any compartment relative to the hero. The ideal world is China, filled with magic with all the traditions, and at the same time fully socialized. All events in the game take place in the lands of Pang. The plot is that the monarch and the king created people and settled them in the wizarding world. The creators themselves left light and dark forces for balance in people's lives. But then there was a coup. After a blinding flash, angels and demons disappeared. Instead of them, three races appeared: Sids, people, and Zoomorphs. Each race is divided into classes, one of which you will need to choose at the very beginning of the game and pump the hero by completing quests and fighting. World of Warcraft is the world's most popular MMORPG, published and developed by Blizzard Entertainment. Game worlds and carefully traced locations, many races and classes, dynamic and PvP battles, interesting quests and events with Easter eggs. This is the entire World of Warcraft universe. The game is a massive role-playing fantasy game with a third-person view. During the gameplay, players can explore the terrain, carry out various assignments and receive rewards, in-game currency, experience, reputation with factions for completing them, fight mobs or enemy players, receiving honor points for killing them. Century Age of Ashes, the multiplayer dragon battle game, is now available for free. Customize your dragon, dive into the arena, and compete to become a legendary Dragoneer. Burn your enemies and rule the skies. Compete in intense online games ranging from 3v3 to 6v6 and discover the fast-paced gameplay of Century Age of Ashes. Dive into the arena alone or with friends and fight for your survival. 3 varied game modes await you: Carnage, Spoils of War and Gates of Fire. If your favorite game is not included in this list, write it in the comments. Thanks for watching. Subscribe our channel, watch our other videos, press like, turn on notifications, and you will always be aware of what to play today.